Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Autobrite podcast. A very, very special podcast this morning. We've got a very, very special guest in our podcast room today.
Thank you.
But before I go into that, before I introduce our special guest, we have Kevin and Jill in the room. How are you?
Hello. Good, thank you.
How are you, Kev?
Not so special guest now, obviously. But
No, you're special in your own.
Special,
I'm always
Special in your own little way, Kev.
I'm like this table.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you with our special guest in the room, the podcast room at the moment?
Got to be a 10, hasn't it?
It's got to be a 10.
No pressure. Sitting across looking at you.
That's
No
it.
pressure at all.
It's got to be a 10 from you, Kev.
It's got to be a 10.
There you go, 10 all round. So, okay, I'm going to introduce our special guest, and our special guest is Mr. Daniel Lloyd. How are you, Dan?
Yeah, I'm all good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm absolutely
Good.
fine.
Are you not going to press your chewy thing?
No.
Oh.
No, because you'll press the wrong button and we'll end up with tumbleweed or something.
Yeah. That's not good enough. That won't go down well. So, Dan, BTCC Driver for Team Hard. So, yeah, we thought we'd invite you down because you've had quite a fair few ups and downs recently over the past few weeks. So we thought we'd get you in, talk about obviously sponsorships and talk about Donington.
Yeah.
We've got various
Get
questions.
to the point, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay. Need to get them hits.
We do. Oh, we've got to keep up the momentum, haven't we? So we've got quite a few questions here for you, Dan. So
Some are a bit weird.
some are a bit weird, but
Weird's
some are
good.
good. Some are good.
Someone might have been a bit stalky. Someone might have been going through your history.
So I'm gonna. Yeah,
Instagram.
I'm gonna kind of fire off here then, Dan. I'm gonna go straight into sponsorships. So with sponsorships, why should someone sponsor you? And what do they get in return? What is the sponsorship package? Just tell us more about sponsorships.
Yeah, so I think with the diehard racing fans, they have some idea of what's involved. With British touring cars, basically, it costs a certain amount of money to run the car for the season. And how it works is that set amount of money is paid for by the teams and the drivers, generally. That's how it works. Teams get a lot of that money from all the team sponsors, like yourselves. Autobrite, obviously, a title sponsor of our car this year. And the remainder of the budget is expected to be brought by the driver. Different things for different drivers. I can't speak on the behalf of every single driver on the grid, but I think my situation is probably one of the more common ones. So I have to raise that money by offering corporate hospitality, branding opportunities, business-to-business opportunities, networking opportunities, and so on. Very, very difficult to do, regardless what season it is. I think this year has been even more difficult. It was, it's a tough year for a lot of people out there, a lot of businesses out there. Rising rates. It looked like we were going into a recession at the start of the year.
Tough times.
And things are tough. And realistically, sponsorship is at the bottom of every business's priority. And it's the first thing to disappear when times get tough, understandably for some. Some businesses, it's a necessity because it's marketing. It's an opportunity to get that brand across to hundreds of thousands and millions of people across the year. So it is very important for some businesses. But to get a brand on board that uses motorsport as their only way, it's quite rare. So you've got to be creative and you've got to build it up in different ways. I'd say majority of my sponsors use it for corporate hospitality. And I'm not fortunate, but the ball's rolling with me. So I've got something really valuable to offer. I've got 20 businesses that sponsor me. So the business-to-business opportunities are quite large. For someone who's just getting going with it, it's very, very tough, very tough. Where, I really feel like I'm in a strong position because I've got some real value to offer. So obviously behind the scenes, we race the cars. Firstly, obviously very, very lucky to race in British touring cars. It's a privilege. It's, it's the biggest motorsport championship in the UK and it's special. What not a lot of people see is the amount of graft and hard work it takes to be able to get into that position. I sometimes look at myself as in I run a business, run a marketing and marketing business really, and off the back of it I do some racing as well, because 5 days a week I'm in the office working on those.
Just you doing this then?
Just me, yeah. Working on the packages, keeping up with current clients, trying to get new ones in, making sure we're doing everything right and fulfilling the promises that I've made to those businesses. So yeah, it's very, very time consuming. When I was younger, I did a lot of coaching and things like that. But when you've got hundreds of thousands of pounds to raise, it's not time efficient to go up and down the country doing some coaching when you've got that overhead against you. So yeah, a lot involved behind the scenes.
Excuse me.
You're starting me off.
So how long have you been doing this then, Dan?
Racing for 20 years now. So I'm 31. Started karting when I was 11 with my dad, and I won a BRDC scholarship to move into Ginetta Juniors when I was 16, and that was the first year Ginetta Juniors was on the TOCA package. That sort of that brought us to the TOCA world, and my dad never raced before. We just started karting for something to do with one another, and so we, very, very new to it. We had no experience whatsoever, so we kind of just went with it. But that scholarship through BRDC to get into Ginetta Juniors was like a huge opportunity.
Because you've been in a few different racing classes throughout your career. So you've been in, what was it, GT?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was Ginetta Juniors, Clio Cup, Scirocco R Cup in Germany. I won a scholarship to race out there. Then I won a scholarship to race with Porsche in the UK for 2 years. And then I got put forward for the Porsche Super Cup scholarship in Germany, which we just missed out on. I'd say that was probably the biggest miss of my motorsport career. Because the other driver, it was between me and another driver, and it was Earl Bamber. Yeah. So he went on to win Porsche Super Cup and win Le Mans and get factory drive and everything like that. And on the day, I was only half a tenth off him in qualifying and like 2 attempts quicker than him on a race run. So I'm not sour about that. That's all you can tell.
It doesn't sound like it.
So that was a close miss to making it big time early. And then I went to do GT, so GT Asia, Blancpain GT in Europe, British GT, World Touring Cars, World TCR in Asia, TCR Europe, bit of British touring cars in there as well, scattered about. And then now this is my 3rd full season in British touring cars now, so a little bit of everything.
Because we've got some statistics from your TCR days here.
Okay.
And it's quite an impressive list of positions here, isn't it, Cav?
Yeah.
So you've got first. Hold on.
So this is for the 2018
2018,
season.
yeah.
Yep.
So you got first. Oh no, is that it at the top there? Is that
you can't read it, can you?
We've done loads of research, Dan, and we really know what we're talking about.
We do, Dan. We do.
It looks like you did
First,
second.
First,
second. Does that sound about right?
No, I don't think I got any seconds, actually.
Adam.
Sack the researcher.
Is it the bottom one then? It's first, and then second.
That's it.
That's the one, isn't it?
Okay. I don't know what the blue one means then.
But that's mightily impressive, Dan, that is. All those firsts. So, TCR then.
Yeah.
I mean, from somebody who kind of watches these races and, goes to the events and whatever, I don't know that much about TCR compared to BTCC.
Yeah, I mean, I've just recently started getting into it. I started, to be honest, by watching the season reviews from 2017, 2018, which is when you think you were was it 2017 you were first in?
2018 was TCR UK. 2017, can't even remember, to be honest.
It might have been 27. It might have been 2018, 2019, but I think you were in golf one year.
Yeah, that was the UK, yeah.
Yeah, so I started by watching TCR then, and I started really getting into it because it was really close in terms of racing. It was really competitive. And then I started researching a little bit about the cars and what the differences are, and yeah, I think TCR, it did look pretty good. It looked pretty competitive.
Yeah, I mean,
from a
the
spectator point of view. Anyway.
2018. So all across my career, really, I've always gone to drives where I could do it and they were available. So there's always a certain amount of budget available, and depending on what that budget was, would depend on what the possibilities were out there. And start of 2018, I wasn't going to be racing anything. I didn't have any budget, and it was tough. And I got an opportunity last minute to do TCR UK, which, that gave me the opportunity to carry on racing and carry on the momentum. As soon as you stop racing, things just disappear. You get forgotten about, and it happens so quick. So it's really important to keep in. So, doing TCR UK, it was the first season then in the UK for TCR. So relatively small grid, and but it gave me the opportunity to carry on racing, which then gave me the opportunity to race in TCR Europe the following years. So, it is a good option for people who are out there who say don't have the budget to go to BTCC.
So, quick question on TCR then. What's for the people that don't know, people listening, people that don't know, what is the differences between a BTCC car and TCR car? What's I'm not 100%. To be honest,
pace wise, like lap time wise, they're very, very similar. It's probably like 1 or 2 seconds a lap maybe in it. We did a race at Silverstone National and there was nothing in it, but the BTCC cars are a lot more complex and there's a lot more opportunities to develop and work with them. Like everything's homologated on TCR, so you can't change the dampers.
Well, they're running on original engines then for the car's engine.
Yes,
like a VW engine or Ford engine or
so there are a lot more. You could rock up to a track day with a TCR car and turn the ignition on, press the start button, and rock around all day. BTCC engines are highly tuned. You need an engineer there plugging in and checking everything. It's a lot more high maintenance, which when it comes to a race weekend, I think there's a lot more skill involved with being able to run BTCC cars at the front. You need a lot more knowledge, a lot better feedback with the engineers. There's a lot more to work at. TCR cars, you don't get me wrong, there's still a lot involved, but they're a lot more simple to run.
Okay.
So you can maybe jump out of one TCR into a different car and run pretty competitively, where it might be a bit more of a struggle if you move from one BTCC car to
like
another
if you're an amateur race driver and you jump in a TCR car, you should feel fairly comfortable in the TCR car quite quick. If you jump in a touring car, you'll be scared. You'll be a bit terrified. They're a really unique car, and they're very difficult to drive. And we've seen it before. You have drivers coming from GT championships.
Yeah, well, we were talking about, weren't we, yesterday, about people who move over from GT into touring car, and you think, they're going to be quick. And a lot of times it's not really the same, is it? Because it's a different type of car to get used to, I'm guessing.
It's even like GT3 cars. They're built and designed for amateur drivers. So traction control, ABS, it's in everything as hard as you can. They're very user friendly. Touring cars are the complete opposite.
You've got nothing.
Which is mega. That's what you want. You want a challenge. You
want
to feel like
Oh, it's certainly Robin's racing, isn't it? Sometimes it's like a banger race. It's quite different, isn't it? It's the best racing I've ever seen. It's.
Like we said before, haven't we? I've always followed touring cars for. The first race I went to was about 1993, and it has always been, like you say, the pinnacle series in the UK, hasn't it? The most highly skilled and and competitive race, I think. But things like watching Formula One doesn't do anything for me in terms of excitement or touring car and close racing, and even at some level clubman racing is quite fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like you say, the Clio Cups and stuff, things like that are really fun to watch as well. But
I remember recently on Twitter, I put something up about Formula One about having a nap halfway through, because it is.
Especially this season, to be fair.
The thing is, I like it. You should like it. It's Formula One. The production's amazing.
It's supposed to be the pinnacle of motorsport, though, isn't it? It's what's achievable.
It's not. You haven't got 4 cars battling for first place on the second to last lap or anything like that.
It's processional.
Someone replied to me and said, Dan, British touring cars isn't much better recently. I'm thinking, it's nothing similar. Like last year, there were 5 drivers who could win the driver championship going into the last round.
Yeah.
The last race of the season, it was still open, and it was like, you can't compare it.
You can't compare them at all.
Don't get me wrong. There's obviously some races which aren't always going to be legendary, and everyone's going to be spread out. But generally, there's always chaos. There's always excitement.
And that's at the first bend.
Yeah, or the last lap. Yeah.
I remember who won that last race of the last season, Dan. I do. And
I'm glad you did, because no one else saw it, because they were focusing on the championship.
I remember you
leaders.
saying to Louise when you've been interviewed, I don't think anybody cares that I've just won that.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't blame him either, because when I watched that race back, it was so exciting to watch Sutton and Ingram battle it out. Yeah. Even though I won that race, I was still excited to watch that battle.
Yeah.
So for people who are watching it live at home who don't know the outcome, it's mega stuff.
Like I say, I think they were focusing more on the championship winner, and then obviously Michael Crease on his roof.
Michael Crease on his roof, yeah,
on
that was
last,
quite funny.
On the last bend.
Well, because it wasn't funny.
At the last
Sorry, Michael. It's funny looking back.
Yeah. He laughed about it the other day.
He did laugh about it the other day, yeah.
And that was he was talking in the team or tent about it, but when he had the Q&A, he was talking about it, wasn't he?
Yeah,
checking his mirrors.
Checking his
Jade.
Was he Jade pretty much?
Yeah, it was Jade.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
He said he was quite nervous when he saw Jade behind him.
Every time
I remember obviously winning it, getting in, celebrating, jumping on the buggy, and the buggy took us to the podium. So like we'd won, all the rest of it, come in, it's all good. Get on the buggy, and then there was on the last corner, Creasy's car on the roof. I was like, what? We just finished the race. How did that happen? But yeah,
he keeps away from Jay now, doesn't he?
He tries to.
He tries to. He moves out of the way. so go on then.
But going back to the BTCC, obviously you've mentioned about sponsorship and how much money you have to raise to drive, and all the hard work and effort you have to go through to make sure you've got that seat and you keep it for the year and what have you. So what we struggle to understand, because there's no prize money in BTCC, what do you get as a driver? Why is it worth all that effort? What reward do you get from it?
Why do you bother, Dan?
Basically, why do you bother?
Yeah, I ask that sometimes, probably more than often. I mean, obviously, the first obvious answer is to race in the championship. I absolutely love it. It's my passion.
Yeah.
I'm not big-headed, but I do believe I'm really good at it as well. So, like, it's not something I want to give up on, because I do believe I've got what it takes to be right at the front in that championship. And I think the competition side is, it's what keeps you hungry. I've done it for 20 years, but like you said, there's no prize money. Really, what you aim for is the more successful you are and the better results you've got, the better platform you have, the more value you offer sponsors. I'd say 85% of the drivers on the grid are in my position where they're taking big chunks of money. I've heard solid rumours of a few drivers are in much better positions, which rightly so, ones who have won championships and have done that, so fair play. But, again, it's a big difference when I've said before, it's a certain budget to run the car for the season, and the better you are as a driver, the lower budget you're expected to bring, because, again, the teams have more value with that driver. You're going to get better results. I've probably had two of the toughest years of my life financially, with the huge crash I had last year, which was unexpected, which was pretty horrendous. And then going into this year, I thought it was going to be quite comfortable. And then with the recession coming in, it was at the end of January, actually, I lost 4 sponsors within 9 days, which worked out about 110 grand.
Gosh. So
going from a year where I thought I was set, I thought the work had been done, it went to, this is going to be a massive struggle again. So they're the times where you think, why do I bother? Because I think the toughest part about it as a driver is it's not in your hands. No. You're not selling a service or a product that people really, really need. So you could get dropped, so quick. So that's the stress and the worry, because you never know when it's going to come and go. I think this year's probably one of the toughest years there's ever been for teams and drivers.
I agree, yeah.
So the thing that I have to keep reminding myself when I'm struggling and worrying about bills and financial stuff is this year could be a one-off. Things are looking better in general.
Yeah.
So if I put in the hard work and do everything right, then there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that's what keeps me going. If I really truly believed, I thought it would never work and I can't make a career out of this, I think that's when you call it a day. But I do believe it can work.
Well, going back to your comment earlier about you can be at the front, you can be winning races.
Can I prove
talk
that?
about Donington, aren't I? I mean, just even thinking about it now, just words can't just describe how
I think
gutted, devastated.
I think
I don't know.
3/4 of the
Charlotte cried.
nation of motorsports.
I nearly broke my wrist by hitting the table.
There's thousands and thousands of motorsport fans who are absolutely gutted. That what happened. Just talk us through that, Dan. What was going?
Yeah, I'll try and talk about it without getting emotional.
Well,
but,
we'll all join in.
It was devastating.
So you on the last lap.
Yeah.
Reverse grid, wasn't it?
Obviously, it was a reverse grid. Bit of luck involved there, obviously, in the first place. But when you get an opportunity like that, you've got to maximise it. You've got to do it right, everything right. And I just thought to myself, right, I can do this, and nailed everything from the race start, and we got a bit of a lead. I going into that race, watching it back, the commentators didn't even mention me about as a potential winner. We were the underdog. No one expected us to do it, but literally did not put a foot wrong and drove the drive of my life, really. After the lead, there was a safety car, nailed the safety car restart, and then fended off Butcher, who was clearly faster than me. And
in a works Toyota, and we defended just nicely, so it didn't back us up into anyone else. And then obviously the last lap, I know I had hybrid left. I had a lap of hybrid. He didn't. That would have given me a comfortable cushion not to defend. It was in the bag. It was there. It was done. And then the drive shaft broke with 5 corners to go, and it was. I just remember going into the gravel, and I didn't even shout or scream or anything like that. My body was just deflated. Just gutted.
Yeah, it'd be good to get you on board for that, actually. Well, it wouldn't be good, but So yeah, it was tough because you don't get opportunities like that very often. But if the drive shaft had broke 7 laps before, then no one would have ever known I would have been able to hold on and do it. Obviously, it would have been nice if it hadn't have broken at all. But we got so much credit from that because it was our win. It was on the plate. We'd done it.
Definitely.
We'd done the job. So, like, the comments and everyone who's reached out to me has just been insane. Like, honestly, really insane. I think that my YouTube vlog's just short of 100,000 views now.
80,000 last time I spoke to you. That was a couple of days ago.
95,000 it's had now. Wow. Which is just insane. I've only been vlogging for just over a year. But that's just because of the amount of people comment. I think what my favourite comment on the YouTube video was someone who said it's the first time I chucked my Sunday dinner at the TV. But, then they recovered the car, came back into the pits, and I think there was about 200 people in the pit lane clapping. And I had different... Pete Osborne from Napa came up to me. Christian Dick came up to me, Adam Weaver came up to me. I've never seen that happen before, really, to be honest, which was really, really nice. So yeah, lots of positives, but it was a very, very tough week after that.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking. It really was.
Just touching back on sponsorships, you got some good news then, Dan. You've got another sponsor this week.
Yeah, so
which is fantastic.
Been pushing like crazy. So there's 2 goals for me really at the minute. There's making sure I end up in little as debt as possible because I'm a bit short for the end of the season. And then obviously getting prospect sponsors for next season as well to make sure I can get back on the grid. So I've had a big push recently. I did something different this week, advertised a set package for the final 2 rounds of the season. Did it in a really good way. Had quite a few inquiries, which was really nice. And there's one business that's reached out and they actually confirmed it yesterday,
Fantastic.
which was great.
Brilliant.
So I think less than a 48-hour turnaround, and
That's really good.
got a decent sponsor on board, which is mega. So I'm really happy at the moment.
Yeah. So any potential sponsors listening then, did he go to your, have you got a website or anything for this package, or
Yeah,
how,
I mean,
how did he contact you?
you can contact me through my website. Just go on my contact details and email. Any of my socials, drop me a message. The big thing I always say to businesses is just let's have a chat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a chat. If you turn around and after and say no, I don't care. You know, it is what it is. But there was one sponsor I had who came on board this year and got introduced to them. Got introduced to the director, and they said, "Oh, we don't like motorsport. It's something we've never done before." And I said, "So what?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I know I've got some people I can introduce to you, and so there's a couple of clients that could buy your product." And he went for it, and then about a month later, I've got them the first order for the product. I've got them another introduction to potentially a huge account for them. So even if you're not a motorsport fanatic or a petrol head, if there's something valuable I can offer, it's worth a chat. Do you know what I mean?
Of course
So
it is.
yeah.
He's just come into the room, Iris.
Iris?
So I think we should lighten it a little bit.
A little bit.
Seen a video. A photo.
So we've been over that way round.
Oh God.
Just spoiled
That's
that, didn't
yours. You
I?
spoiled that one, haven't you?
Oh.
Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute, Dan. We've got some peelers for you, mate. I'm not going to lie.
It's going to set the tone.
We've done some research.
That was a good night out, that.
He licked it.
Oh, dear.
So, come on.
So our young lads, Adam and Reese, have been doing a bit of stalking on your Instagram,
Yeah.
going back in time. And they've given us some pictures, and basically you've got to explain the picture.
All right, okay.
Oh,
So I've
This
just spoiled
picture
you by
gonna go on
showing
the
you one.
podcast?
Probably.
All right, okay.
so
We'll emoji it out maybe.
you've just seen this one, Dan, so you might as well just
All
jump
right.
straight on this.
Yeah.
I want to know, is this potentially to your... Is this how you get new sponsors? Is it your-
Yeah.
There you go. After how long Dan gets his new sponsors. Dan, do you want to shed some light on that? Or
That, I mean, it's not me. To start with. It's,
Well, I mean, we wouldn't know, would we? So
Oh, this is it.
so that was on the way up to Newcastle. I think it was one of our 21st birthdays or something like that. And yeah, my friend decided to do a moonie out the back door.
So the people who aren't
I
watching
think
the video...
he still had his seatbelt on at that point, I think. So
Yeah, you can see it there. Just going over the top.
Still being safe.
So this is a picture of a Mercedes, and this person is in the back doing a moonie out the back window.
yeah.
Obviously with his seatbelt on.
obviously, yeah.
Obviously.
He's
That's
pulled over, so he's safe.
I think he was reaching over for his protein shakes.
Yeah,
Hydration's really,
we thought that, to be honest. We thought that.
Some ill-fitting shorts.
Yeah. So that's what we pulled out to the archives, Dan.
Yeah. So back to questions. Kev, do you want to go one?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll have a look. So this is something that we hear a lot of, and something me and Jill were talking about yesterday. And to be fair, it's probably your question.
Well, it
mine,
is
but-
really, yeah. But you'll probably be able to ask it better than I can.
So Jill asked me yesterday if I knew what drivers meant when they said that they've got a good chassis, or they've got a good chassis, but they've not got a good engine, or the engine's not
yeah.
quite so good.
This could go on for a while. Engines.
So in terms of if someone says, well, the chassis is good, what does that actually mean to people who are maybe not into cars? And
See, I don't understand what that means.
So if someone says the chassis is good, in general, it means they're happy with the handling of the car. It doesn't necessarily mean the shell is good.
That's what I
It's
get,
a very,
you see.
it's a bit of a generalised saying that drivers use. If the chassis is good, then they're happy with the setup, the gelling with the engineer. They've got what they want out of the car. The balance of the car is good. We could be going around Donington and we could keep up with a car through the corners, but then you see the car edge away on the straight. So that's where we say the chassis is good, but
Right.
lacking a bit of straight line speed.
Yeah, because we hear that a lot.
yeah,
In
Yeah.
hospitality.
Yeah.
Straight line speed, yeah. Yeah, we do, yeah. So straight line speed then, Dan, I'm, put us in the picture, because obviously we've got different engines, haven't we?
Yeah.
Along the grid. We've got the Neil Brown engine, am I right in saying?
Yeah.
Us.
No.
Just on the grid.
Sorry, on
in
the
general,
grid.
yeah,
I
on the
was
grid.
gonna
So we've got
You
Neil.
wish.
Can't be listening.
We've got the Neil Brown engine, we've got the Mountune engine, we've got your engine, which is
M Sport.
M
Sport
Sport.
engine.
And we've got Swindon. as
Swindon
well.
engine, yeah. So what's all the difference then? What are the difference between these engines?
So Swindon used to be the Toker engine. So the majority of the grid chose Swindon, and then there was the manufacturer independent engines like Mountune and Neil Brown, and then last year they switched the Toker engine over to M Sport. So then Swindon became a private manufacturer builder. So this last year was the first year for M Sport. I think it was a tough ask for them, because they're coming into a world where they've got engine tuners who have been doing it 15, 20 years or whatever, however long, but a long time. I think they had a very tough year last year. We were in Swindon last year with the Hyundai, which was very strong last year. And this year, M Sport have made a lot of improvements. I think they're a lot better than what they were last year. But I still think they're playing a little bit catch up on the engine tuners that have been doing it 15, 20 years, which for me,
to be expected.
It makes sense. But I genuinely believe that they're making improvements all the time. Even into Donington, we were still tweaking.
I was going to say, looking at Donington, to be fair, it didn't look as if you were lacking a lot of straight line speed at Donington, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
well, they couldn't catch you, Dan.
There's two. There's qualifying, and then there's the racing. So with some of the engine manufacturers, there's always a little bit in the bag for qualifying.
This is something else we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
Is this all different maps and stuff? Or?
Yeah.
Right, because we don't understand that.
Just between
I'd
practice and quality and race.
Yeah. It's not something that's talked about a lot, really. But generally, it is. People have a quality map. I get a little bit more out for a lap. And I think that's where we lack. We're lacking the most at the minute, that qualifying. People will be able to find a bit of a chunk.
Having a bit of an extra pace in reserve if you need it, sort of thing.
Yeah. And then when it gets to the races, I'd say we're pretty respectable then.
I'd say from Donington, it didn't look as if you were lacking.
Yeah, it also
depends. But obviously, if
depends.
the setup's good for the corners, it's quite a...
Also depends what other cars you're around as well.
Yeah,
so there are certain cars on the grid which are absolutely flying in a straight line. So it just depends. At the end of the day, when people talk about power, everyone gets a bit sensitive. It is just part of the team. It's part of the package. Like your engineer, you're working on the setup. It is just part of the package. So, of course, there's going to be some engines with a bit more of an advantage.
In terms of actual horsepower, then they're all supposed to be the same, aren't they?
Yeah, they've all
actual
got
output.
Yeah.
So what? I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, but so if all the horsepower output is supposed to be exactly the same, where does the difference come in?
Well, there's so many factors to an engine power and the output. There's the charge air charge temp.
Okay.
So good example last year. The Toyota with the M Sport engine was a lot stronger than the Honda with the M Sport engine. Because the cooling package on the Honda wasn't great for that engine, so therefore it was running hotter, and the power output came down.
Reduces,
So there's, I'm not going to pretend I know everything,
it can be
but there's so many
factors.
factors.
So it can be other things then.
100%.
So obviously you've got, like, say, an engine package and a cooling package, and maybe, I don't know, gearbox, different ratios in the gearbox or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not all about horsepower then.
No,
it is about
absolutely not. There's
how it's
so
set
many
up and
factors.
the engineers and.
Yeah. Sometimes it comes down to the driver as well, doesn't it? The drivers plays a big
part.
What,
putting your foot down quick?
That's No, but I suppose more experienced drivers versus less experienced drivers, you're not going to be scared of putting your foot down and perhaps racing a bit more aggressively. And
so what you're talking about there is kahunas?
Yeah.
The size of?
Yeah, I mean...
Basically, yeah.
It does depend, like, what circumstance you are on track. Like, if you do have a bit of... like Donington, for example, when I had a little bit of a gap in my head, all I was thinking was concentrate on your exits, because tactically, you know, if you've got a bit of a gap, you don't have to defend. If you nail your exit, realistically, you're going to be safe for the next corner. So therefore, you've got that bit of breathing room to do what you want. As soon as you start diving into the corners heavy, you're going to become under attack at the next corner, and then you're screwed. So yeah, a lot of it is experience, and it's always the same story, and it always was even in karting. If you had a strong motor, everything becomes very easy. So yeah, there's a lot in that.
Okay. So while we're talking about things like that, I've got a question for you, Dan. Hybrid system. Do you think? I'll compare it to the ballast system we used to have.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Does hybrid add a lot to the championship, do you think? Or is it a bit of pointless posturing for the Green Party?
If it was free and it didn't cost the teams any more money, then
it's costing thousands at the minute.
It's costing
tens of thousands.
Yeah, huge amounts. If it was free, okay, it's great. I think there's going to be more tweaking next year to make it a little bit more intrusive. But if you compare, I mean, I don't know the exact cost, but I think it's like an extra 50-60 grand per year for a car. If you compare that to what a lump of lead does at the side, in terms of excitement, it's not fit for purpose. But from a commercial point of view, so I've been told there are commercial benefits, maybe for more so for the manufacturers. But I don't know that many people have found. No one's come along with another 200 grand to put in the championship because we're now hybrid. So it costs the teams and the drivers a lot of money. There's definitely they can definitely improve it in terms of the difference it makes. But yeah, it just makes it tougher for everyone, really, to be honest.
They're not that reliable on some cars, are they?
I mean, I think some of it probably is implementation as to how it's used. So obviously, when we first heard about hybrid, we were thinking along the lines of, you know, like a DRS style system where, you know, like a push to pass style thing. But obviously, they've put the limitations on who can have it and how much you can have. And if you get to a point in a race where the person in front of you is far enough ahead, the hybrid doesn't really make much of a difference in terms of you catching up, does it?
It's definitely not as effective as the weight, for sure. But the other thing I would say is, you know, it's a big change to the championship. It was the first touring car championship who had hybrid, and there's no way it was going to be nailed in the first year. So it will take time, and I do believe it will be better next year. However, it still doesn't get rid of the issue of the cost involved in running it. That's the biggest thing for me. It's the cost. The rest of it, I'm sure they'll get it right and they'll make it work. But yeah, it's very, very expensive.
So I'm guessing then obviously certain teams, again coming back to sort of like budgetary constraints and stuff, certain teams will have suffered more from the introduction of hybrid than some of maybe the front running teams. In terms of like getting it set up.
I disagree. Last year, I think it was a bit down to luck. I mean, obviously the amount of electrical systems in there is huge. So I think it was down to pot luck a little bit as well, depending on what system you had. I had tons of issues last year going into like round 8, and my teammate had none. So they were kitted out the same way. It was just different units and things like that. So I think it was just teething issues,
so
which is going to happen.
So if you have an issue with the hybrid, then does that affect the way the car runs in general, or does it just mean you haven't got the hybrid system?
Generally, it just means you haven't got the hybrid system. Yeah.
So when you press that hybrid button, right?
Yeah. Nothing happens.
Do you actually feel something?
Yeah, you can feel something.
Like a little bit
it's
of
not like Fast and Furious.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
it's not like a downshift halfway through the straight.
That's what I was getting at. So you can just feel a little boost.
Yeah.
You know, you can just,
yeah.
You know.
It's more effective like in areas where you come out of a corner, you might be in 4th gear, low revs, but you press it, you can feel just a bit of something.
Yeah, a bit of something.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got all very technical now.
It is. No, we like this though, don't we?
We like the technicals, yeah. So, you know.
It's a lot. The thing is, a lot.
Jill wants to get back to the Moonies.
A lot lot of people like the technical questions. And
Well, I
answers,
think it
don't
just
they?
helps people understand a little bit more.
Yeah,
why,
about it. Yeah, yeah.
why they are like they are, and
Yeah,
why it
yeah.
isn't similar to other systems.
Okay. Not your best look. Do you want to show that one to the camera?
Yeah.
So, Dan, it looks like you're kind of pulling your shorts up here and pulling a very funny face.
Yeah, I think we're about 18 there. I think.
Were you at an airport?
Can't
there?
remember what. Yeah, we're on holiday somewhere. Me and my mate George.
Yeah.
It was somewhere like Malia or Zante or Magaluf or something like that. And yeah, probably
Enjoying
still
yourself.
drunk from the night before. And
Yeah, we dug that one up as well. That was, the lads have been busy.
Obviously got too much time on their hands.
That's it, yeah. So I've got a question then, Dan. So let's just say ITV contact you and just say, look, Dan, we want to put a camera in your car this weekend. Obviously, with the weight of the camera, the cables, how does it affect the car? Driving the car with the extra weight, and is it a lot of weight?
I think it's about 6 kilos, something like that. 6-7 kilos. It's more the onboard camera curse for me. That would be the biggest thing that worries me. It's always something.
It's great. You got a camera in the car, especially for us. It's brilliant.
Alton Park, we had it race 3,
Yeah,
and then something went in the engine. It was some sensor. But to be honest with you, when I've had it in the car, I mean, you jump from one track without it. 2 or 3 weeks later, you turn up to another track with a different setup, different conditions. It's tough to feel a difference, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that weight that goes in, it'll get taken out from elsewhere, and that sort of compensates for it. Yeah. So I don't really think anything of it, to be honest.
Okay.
Just a curse.
It's like, Dan, yes, you're having all the camera and all the cables in. It's like,
I like having it. I like it because it's great coverage for my sponsors.
Yeah,
so it's a good opportunity to have it in the car.
I think Bobby had a camera in. Was it last year? No, was it this year?
I
can't remember. Anyway, one particular race, and the camera was on the wing, whatever it was. It was shining. Well, he was, picturing the wing. It's had our logo.
They put it upside down on purpose for us, didn't they? So you could actually read it.
So that was quite good. Quite good for us. Yeah. Go on then. Another question, Kev.
Let me have a look on my list. I think we've covered quite a few of these in just a general chat. I mean, going back to Donington, then obviously your vlogs are quite popular, and obviously, like I said, the Donington one was really popular. How did you get the motivation to do that after Donington? Because I'm guessing the last thing you wanted to do was sit down and do a vlog after the results.
I didn't do anything when I got out of the car, and I drove home, and I actually did something when I got home, and obviously it's the worst time to do it and bring yourself to do it, but also it's the best content.
The best time, yeah.
The most popular videos I've got on my YouTube channel are not finishing Donington and missing out on the Rin and the crash at Alton Park. So
so what you're saying is people like misery.
People like misery, yeah. So it's important that consistency as well with it is important. But the big thing, I think, when you get situations like that, there's so many negatives and you're down and you're feeling bad and all the rest of it. You need to make the most of those opportunities. And driving home, you're obviously doing a lot of thinking. And because of the credit and then people messaging, knew it was a big story. So I thought, we need to do this now. And that's why we got it out, the night after.
Definitely made a difference, didn't it?
It did. It did, definitely. It's all, all about timing. So yeah, and then after this video's gone nuts, I think we've got like another 800 subscribers in a week, and I really see some potential there. So it's something I want to put more effort into, and really tell my story. Realistically, I don't know whether I'm going to be racing next year or not, because I don't know how the budgets are going to line up. But I'm going to cover that on my vlog, and tell people the truth and tell people what I'm going through, and hopefully, if it goes right, I can share a success story next year. And
it's a little bit like what we were saying yesterday, isn't it? About giving people an insight into actually what goes on and what's involved in being a driver. I think
it's really tough, isn't it? Really tough, especially in these tough times. trying to get sponsors and whatnot.
Yeah. But I think, there's better times coming, and if you put in the work and the graft and you do it enough and you keep positive, then things will happen. It's the times where you're feeling down and feeling sorry for yourself and you get a bit of a negative mindset and you start to dip. And I think it's the same with anything in life, isn't it? No matter whether you're a racing driver or a business owner or whatever, it's important to give yourself a kick up the arse sometimes and just keep going, because the worst thing you can do is start feeling sorry for yourself 100%. And say, poor me. You just crack on and get on with it.
That's it.
When we found out, obviously, that you were going to be driving for Team Hard and you were going to be in the Autobrite car, we went back and watched all your vlogs.
Oh,
I think in one night, maybe.
Yeah.
And we really enjoy them, and we always look forward to your next one. And we really enjoy them. And I think, well, obviously, from the feedback and the views and the comments you get, I think people really, like Kev said, really enjoy seeing the other side to being a racing driver. Because I think a lot of people think it's all glamorous. You all drive around in Ferraris, you'll live in massive mansions and money pouring out of every orifice. So the fact that they see the other side of it, I just think it makes you more real and more human, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when I started it, I always said to myself, I'm just going to be myself. I'm not going to put on an act with it or anything like that. And I think one downfall I've had is because when times have been tough and I'm constantly worried about money and focusing elsewhere, then I just put it off and I don't do it. Where, like now, things are picking up. I really want to push it and be more consistent with it. And, when we've talked about how tough it is with raising sponsorship and stuff, one of my big things with like British Touring Car Championship is I don't think there's enough coverage on the drivers as a personality point of view. Like, why don't we do press conferences where we get the drivers in together and we're being asked, I know it's nowhere near F1, I know that, but
it would be a good idea, I think.
Yeah, people buy into personalities.
They do.
There's 30,000-40,000 people there on a Sunday. There's millions of viewers across the championship. Why haven't the drivers got 50, 70, 80,000 followers on social media? Because no one really knows us.
That's it.
That we have a 60-second interview in the car or after a race. That's not buying into our personality or anything like that. So I think that's the real value from the vlogs. People actually get to know you.
That's it, yeah. Because I know where Michael Chris did one as well, didn't he, this last couple of weeks? 7 days in the life of Chrissy or summit.
Jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, copying you down, definitely. But he says that went down. I mean, I haven't watched them, I'll be honest, but he said that went down.
Because you're loyal to me, Jo.
I am, Dan, I am.
I respect that.
Definitely.
I think one of Chrissy's videos was when he was lying in bed in his motorhome. I think he was filming himself.
That's a bit weird.
Just a bit.
We don't need to know that.
Different type of video that is.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So I've got a question then, Dan. It's if there's anything that you could change going forward in BTCC, obviously taking account of hybrid and other stuff, what would you change to make things better, to make this racing better?
I genuinely believe exactly what, just what I've said. I think there needs to be more coverage from for the drivers to really get the personality across and what they do, just like F1 does, the build-up show and talking to us on a human level instead of it just being a post or pre-race interview. I think the knock-on effect of that is people will buy into the characters more, will get more of a following, there's more value there for sponsorship,
more money in general into the championship.
Yeah, exactly. Therefore, you probably get better drivers in general.
More investment,
more consistency. The racing itself, I think, is awesome anyway. The hybrid, they're making further improvements for next year to make it even more interesting. But you've still got a championship open at the minute with 3 or 4 drivers involved. You've still got battles where different manufacturers and different drivers can win at any point. Like Knockhill, it was amazing that race weekend. Absolutely mega. Dollington was exciting. So with the racing, I wouldn't change anything. I think certain things need to change to make the driver and the team's life a little bit easier, so they can do the job properly to keep the consistency going. I don't want to sit here and say I'm a championship, promoter. I respect what those guys do, but just from an outside in, I think it would add a lot more value and help for the drivers who are essentially paying to be there on the grid.
No, I agree with that. I also think they should have like a driver of the weekend, or driver of the day, should we say? So
yeah, there's
whoever
independent
wins,
ones who do that, but there's no official ones, is there?
No.
But again, it's a way for fans to interact with the championship. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you were the driver of the day at Donington anyway.
Cheers, mate.
You were.
You will see the comments, mate. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
One particular Facebook page. Dan's driver of the day. Driver of the day. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Can't beat a bit of sympathy vote. I'll take it.
That's it, mate. That's it.
Is it last photo time? And then we're pretty much done then, aren't we?
Yeah. So I've got a photo here, Dan.
Yeah.
With Mark Webber.
I've aged like a fine wine, I must say.
So tell us a bit about that photo, Dan. Were you standing there with Mr. Webber?
Yeah, so that was when I was the scholarship driver for Porsche, and that was at the Porsche Human Performance Centre at Silverstone. So we used to put days on for media training and fitness training and things like that. And Mark's an ambassador for Porsche, and he came along and did a talk, and it was amazing. Like those 2 years, I think I was 21, and they put in £80,000 a year into the pot, but the support from the other side really moulds you into everything you need to know and what to do. So that scholarship is really one of the best scholarships out there to win.
Is there anybody in racing that really inspires you? A particular driver?
Yeah, I mean, he's just retired, but to be honest, Plato inspires me. He was an amazing teammate, really great character, lovely, lovely bloke, very helpful. He made it work. He made it work. He's got a very, very good career out of motorsport, and he does it right. He's a bit like Marmite. Not everyone's going to like him, but it's better
if you're driving against him.
It's better to be like that in life. You don't want to be someone who
you stand out, don't
likes.
you?
But people have their opinions of Jason of what they see on the camera. But I tell you what, he's probably the best teammate I've ever had. He was absolutely mega.
Don't know. I mean, he's been around for years, hasn't he? I always enjoy his racing, and as a character
like
as well.
Like you say, maybe he's had a few controversial moments over the years, but as a driver, he makes it exciting to watch.
He does.
And you say, I think...
And people remember them moments.
Yeah, I think if you cultivate that image where, okay, you're not necessarily always completely clean in terms of how you race or whatever, people remember it, and I think you can then play on that persona a little bit.
Yeah.
And, it gives you a couple of different ways of interacting with people. Like you say, sometimes you can be the bad guy type of thing.
Well,
and it makes it exciting.
You see it in so many other sports where people are really out there with characters, and people purposely try and be I won't swear, but people do it on purpose because they know that's what sells.
Yeah.
And I have thought about it sometimes because, in motorsport, everyone's prim and proper, and a little bit less in touring cars, but everyone's prim and proper, says the right things.
Rough around the edges.
Commercial and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But you look at other sports, the biggest personalities, the biggest paid athletes in the world are people who are out there and act like...
Well, at the end of the day, even if, I suppose there's people within sports that people love to hate. And even if they don't like the person, or they say they don't like the person online.
I mean, boxing's become a joke now.
It generates. It just generates.
That's another podcast.
Awareness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what they say with publicity.
All publicity is good publicity.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to think of. So even if you are one of the people, I hate it when he wins all the time or whatever, it's still publicity, isn't it?
Mr. Plato and Mr. Neil. Great times.
Epic races.
Epic races and
some
nearly
fights.
epic punch-ups as well.
Some last corner shenanigans as well.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Fantastic.
I mean, again, with touring car, I think that's partially what people, why people keep coming back to touring car, I think. It is that competitiveness and the closeness of racing, isn't it, I think? And the fact that they're not afraid to get their elbows out.
That's the thing where I go back to what I was saying before about the value of knowing the character more. Like, people watch touring cars and they don't have a clue who's in there really, and they don't know that person. The minute you know someone in that championship, when it really comes to life, that's where you get so excited, and because you're supporting a character. I mean, look at Drive to Survive, how it's transformed F1. It's because people buy into those characters and find out who they are. So if someone can watch that championship without actually knowing the drivers and still find it exciting, imagine how invested they will be.
You're almost watching it based on, like you say, you're almost watching like a character. Like you say, with Drive to Survive, it's they've also the drivers, but they've also got this persona of how they're editing, how they're shown on the the show. And okay, it's not always necessarily factual, but it makes sense. It makes for entertaining watching. I mean, I would say that die-hard Formula One fans probably hate Drive to Survive. Yeah,
I don't like it.
It brought so many people in that have got opinions on things that they maybe wouldn't always.
Not that I'm a die-hard,
but the thing is, like I say, it's publicity. It's
I agree with
really
that,
brought Formula One to a new audience, people that wouldn't necessarily watched it before.
No, well, that goes. I'm a perfect example of that, really, because you've watched touring cars for years and years and years and years and years. And I always used to moan, "Why have you got this on again?" on all day. Then we got involved with Team Hard. This is our 7th season with Team Hard now, and it's like the last 3 years, because I've taken more of an interest, got to know the drivers. I absolutely love it, and I'm addicted to it, and I can't keep away from it.
Yeah.
I think because you get to know people.
Yeah, it's the people involved.
You've got you want that person to do well. You've got like a personal investment in that. Never mind the money and the sponsorship. It's knowing that person. You want that person to do well.
Yeah, and Team Hard
makes
is a great
massive
team.
difference.
Yeah, we've been, like you say, been involved for many years with Team Hard, and they're a fantastic team. Tony and Sam, they run that team, and they're like family. It's a great team.
Yeah, they are.
Everybody involved with Team Hard, fantastic.
So any potential sponsors out there who are considering sponsoring Dan, we can vouch for motorsport sponsorship. We love it.
100%.
We love it.
100%.
Still don't know 100% why we do it, but we love it.
We do.
We do.
Great. Okay.
Is that it then?
Any
Do
more
you think?
questions?
There's a couple of things at the bottom of your sheet you haven't asked yet.
Oh, about the new teammate.
Ah,
Controversial.
well, that's a good question.
Well,
So, Dan.
Which one?
you've got a choice.
Yeah, you've got to choose.
So, you're having a new teammate. Okay.
Hypothetically.
3
Okay.
candidates.
You've got 3 choices.
All right.
Who are you going to pick for your teammate? Is it Mr. Jake Hill? Is it Mr. Rob Collard?
Not Ricky.
Sorry, Ricky Collard. Forgive me. Or is it Mr. Tom Ingram?
I'd go for Tom Ingram.
Okay.
Worked with him for a year. I know how he works. We work together quite well, to be fair. So yeah, I'd go with Tom.
We like Tom, don't we?
I like Tom, yeah. I don't know him, but I do like him, yeah.
we like
He comes across as a nice guy.
He's a good teammate. His feedback's very, very good, and obviously knows what he's on about. So yeah, he's someone who could definitely work with.
I was pleased to see him win last year over
Yeah.
the other people.
The other drivers.
The other
people. Say no names. Is that it then? I think we're done, aren't we?
Got another one,
'Cause
Kat?
it's really warm in here.
No, I think that's everything.
So, my last question to
I've
you
got a
then,
question to you. Are you going to get aircon in here for the next podcast?
Dan. Yeah,
We
probably,
don't
yeah.
open the window, but there'd be too much road noise, I think.
Yeah, there will, yeah.
No, if we had aircon, it wouldn't be turned on.
Exactly. So, final thoughts then, Dan. Are you looking forward to Silverstone and the last two races of the of the season?
Really looking
Silverstone
forward
brands.
to it. Yeah, I mean, going into Donington, well, the cars got stronger and stronger all year. We showed that at Donington. Last 2 rounds of the season, I've gone well there in the past. I've had podiums at Silverstone. We won last year at Brands. Brands GP is my favourite circuit on the whole.
I was just going to ask you
calendar.
that because everybody asks.
Yeah, it is my favourite. So I think we're in good shape. You've got to be realistic about the expectations, but you go there, do everything you can to do the best you can, and you'll get out what you have. If you shouldn't. I never go into a weekend thinking I'm gonna win this weekend because you don't know what you've got. You don't know how quick the other cars are gonna be. So you just go in and make sure you do everything properly and see how you do. But I'm up for it. Obviously, the good news about the new sponsors give me a huge boost. Been selling loads of posters. Those limited edition posters.
We've seen them. And
Yeah.
Did we buy one? We were supposed to have bought one.
Yeah.
Have we bought one?
Yeah, Well,
have you bought it with you?
no.
Oh.
I haven't
His
actually.
tubes
I
are
haven't-
too small.
I
Have we
haven't
not actually
paid for it
exchanged the
yet,
money yet?
but,
Right, I see.
But he's forgot them anyway, so.
So no, I've forgotten. Didn't, yeah. Anyway, there's
His
another
tubes
story.
are too small.
The tubes are too small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. Anyway. Right. So the thickness of the poster, the really high quality poster. So when I ordered the 200 tubes to come, when I rolled it up, I'd have to roll it too tight to put in the tubes, otherwise it might ruin them. So I've ordered some different tubes instead of ruining them.
Tubes
So
are too
anyway,
small.
so we're doing all that stuff. So I'm in good spirits at the minute. So yeah,
Good.
Looking forward to it.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you all the luck in the world, Dan, for the next 2 races.
Thank you.
We'll be there.
Brands Hatch, by the way, is my birthday weekend, just so you
Oh,
know.
no pressure. At least I've got an incentive now.
This is it,
That's
yeah.
good.
And I've got, lots of people coming with us as well to
Yeah.
celebrate my birthday weekend that weekend. Dan,
And of
just
course
saying.
to watch you, Dan, as well. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Few beers on a Sunday night then.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Saturday qualifying is my actual birthday, and then
Yeah, I might skip the beers that night.
I might have a few.
Yeah. So thanks for coming into our podcast, Dan, and just give us a brief kind of insight of what's it like to be a BTCC.
Be Dan Lloyd.
Yeah, Dan Lloyd, 20-car driver. So we appreciate that. So thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks, mate.
cheers,
Thank
guys.
you
It's
very
been
much.
good. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
enjoyed it.
thanks to Kev and thanks to Jill, and
As always.
as always, and we'll catch you on the next podcast. So thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.